Welcome back.
Hello. This is
Another episode.
episode 6.
Yes, episode 6 of Ray to
Crazy.
Ray.
I'm
Thanks for coming back, guys.
Thank you. I'm excited for this episode.
I know, I'm so excited. I can't wait to jump in. I literally, okay, let's just tell people then what it is now. So basically, we thought it would be cool to just talk about the dynamic duos of TV, right?
We
Best
grew up
friend.
watching the examples of friendships were given through media, and yeah.
What we think about it, like how it affected like what we thought of
As friends.
about our friendships, yeah, and stuff like that. So yeah, so excited to get into some of the.
Me too. Sorry guys, I'm looking down because I'm gonna pull up our list that we have. So I have it up now.
I have mine up too, just so I can keep it in order.
Right, I got it.
So what order do you think we should go in, from like oldest TV sitcom to newest, or just like, what do you think?
Yeah, let's do it that way. I think that'll be fun because then it's kind of what you're watching at this time in your life, what you think about Friends there to what we're watching now.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so
Okay, let's do it that way.
But before we get into that, let's do our recap of the week and everything that's going on with you. Don't mind my ratchet ass hair, guys. I'm in the process of changing colors, so that's why you can't see it. And I have this chola vibes going. These chola vibes going on.
We both have like little bandanas in our hair or whatnot, which is cute. Wasn't planned, but cute. Yeah. Okay. Well, with me this week, nothing really. You know what? I feel like I've been doing homework every single day of the week, all day.
Masters.
No, like, I didn't. And you know what's funny? It's because like that's what I did in undergrad, is like okay, all I'm doing is reading constantly. Constantly reading, taking notes on what I read so I can really try to understand. Because I was telling my parents, I was like, it's cool. I love it because there's only like 12 people in my class. Like, and they're in all of my classes. Like, well, I'm only taking 3 classes at a time. And all 3 of everybody is in the same class, all classes. And so I'm like, that's so cool because you really get to kind of know everyone. And another thing is, since there's only 12 of us, the conversations are not like boring and like blah and like nobody wants to talk. It's not like that. Like the professor will ask a question and people get involved and people are like answering and giving their opinions. Right? This is all through Zoom, yeah, which makes it even more like intimidating trying to do that. But no, like everybody, which is why I give props to everybody doing this, because it's even more intimidating, like being on Zoom. Yeah, and having to see yourself ask a question, ew. But like I was saying, everybody's so like involved, and so I'm like, shoot, like I need to make sure I'm on top of my stuff because I'm not gonna be the one looking dumb, you know. So when I do my readings and stuff, I take notes, which is like time consuming, and then I have to write responses, and that's like another, and then just send it in. So it's nothing but reading and writing, and I did that in my undergrad, which is why I felt like I kind of felt like I knew what I was stepping into. But man, did they bump up all of the work. And it's like, and I think too, because it's a master's program, I take it more serious. Like I'm really scared to write my papers. I'm really just like detailed on, like I really write 2 or 3 drafts this time instead of saying I do. Like I really do, because, you know, I want to take it seriously. So,
but also I feel like masters is like, this is it. Like once you're done with this, you're in the job force. Like there's no more, unless you're going for your PhD. But isn't PhD for psychology more like research stuff?
Yeah, it's more research stuff, and like you have to write a book,
thesis,
like, yeah.
So for the most people, this is like the last step before you go into the workforce, and it's like, okay, like I don't get to like hide behind school anymore after this. Like,
which is something I'm so scared of. But yeah, so I've been doing nothing but homework. That's literally consumed my life, but I love it because I'm not working right now, and so I have all of the time in the world to do this, and I love that. Like I've never been in a position where I actually sit down and like do homework for hours, because I've always been on ever since I was in elementary school. I've done that, you know. So
I feel like it's the same thing. It's just, I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day about this. In kindergarten, you get about the same amount of work that you get in college, but the difference is you have a whole week to do it, and in college you have 2 days to do it. Because in kindergarten you get this fat packet that's due at the end of the week, but you have the week to do it. And obviously, you know, the difficulty and everything's harder. Yeah. But like, if you really, really think about it, you're given a packet of work from the time you're in kindergarten to freaking, obviously, like what you're saying, your master's program.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy. But you got your iPad, so I feel like that makes it a little easier for you.
I love an iPad. Yes, I got an iPad, so I'm doing I'm doing school completely paperless, like 100%, writing my notes down. And it is easier because I have like cool apps that I get to like split the screen and write my notes and like have the book, and I don't know, I love it so much.
That's what I was telling my mom, because I asked for one for my birthday, because my birthday's next month. I'm gonna be 23. Anyways,
your Jordan year. That's your Jordan year.
My Jordan year, or the Blink song, Nobody Likes You When You're 23. Okay, I have a cute Instagram post I'm gonna post on my birthday, so.
And is that gonna be your caption?
It's that and something else, and it's gonna be like totally like my personality, so it's kind of cute. Okay, anyways, I don't want to give too much away.
So stay tuned for that, guys.
Yeah, it's gonna be cute. It's gonna be cute. I ordered my shirt, so it's gonna be cute. Anyways, dude, I feel like I have to order everything a month before I need it now, because everything's taking so long to get everywhere.
Dude, I ordered freaking, okay, no, wait, I don't want to interrupt, but just real quick, I ordered roller skates. So watch out for that, Instagram. Let me tell you, I'm gonna be getting down on my roller skates.
So the 4 wheels, right? Roller skates are 4 wheels. Yeah. Okay, I always get them confused. See, I can't roller skate, but I can roller blade, which I know makes no fucking sense.
No, I feel like everybody I talk to who knows how to rollerblade can't roller skate, or they feel like rollerblading is so much easier. They got it easier. I'm like, what?
And I also think it's because when I was younger, my aunt got me and my cousins, all of us, roller blades because she was super into roller blading. So I never had roller skates. I always had roller blades. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know, but yeah, anyway, so I asked for an iPad for my birthday, and my mom was like, why do you need one? Like, you know, trying to figure out, like, why I wanted one. And I'm taking classes right now, too, just to stay enrolled and, like, you know, keep it going before I start my nursing program. And I was like, everything's online right now. And I'm pretty sure when I go back to school for, like, actual nursing, a lot of it's going to be online, too. And right now, reading and taking notes and, like, having to flip screens and, like, or print the documents to highlight them, and it's just like on an iPad I could just download them straight to the iPad, highlight right there, split my screen, physically write instead of typing. And she's like, okay.
I love, and you can like literally pull from your book words and just put it onto your notes, and like you know what I mean. And it's I love it so much. And then also too, I really like having Zoom. Just Zoom on my laptop, like full screen, where I'm not pulling up my you know Google Docs right next to it, and it's just so much more easier to be like distracted.
Yeah,
it's so much easier to be distracted when you have like so many windows open next to it, and you can easily just pretend like you're listening. Like no, like I have my whole screen just there, just the professor talking, and then on my iPad is where I have my notes, and on my iPad too, I don't download any Netflix apps. I don't have Instagram on there. I don't have any type of
school and work thing, and that's
only
what I want. And I explained that to my mom, and I was like, and my Mac's old. I got my Mac when I graduated high school, so it's almost 6 years old. Yeah, so I was like, it still works, like I can still type on it, but me downloading all these things and like everything else, and then Jonathan has a laptop that I use for editing, and I'd rather keep all my editing stuff on that laptop, like keep everything separate. So I was like, if I can keep the iPad for notes and actually physically taking with me, and then keep my Mac home to type essays and stuff, because I still think I would want to like type on an actual computer, even though I know you can get a keyboard. And she was like, okay. And then I was like, and then once I start nursing school, I'm gonna have clinicals, and I just feel like taking an iPad and just writing like when I'm going through the clinicals, instead of having a full laptop or having to worry about my pen running out of ink, or like having a notebook and everything. And so
that's another thing too with like more biology type majors. Because I did my research when I got my iPad, and I looked up all on YouTube, like, what is the pro? What are the real pros of having an iPad only? Dude, like all those things.
If you look through my freaking YouTube feed not on our YouTube, obviously, but my personal YouTube, my history, it's like iPad Pro versus Surface Pro, iPad unboxing, iPad apps for school. That's all I've been watching. Yes.
Good notes versus notes file or
notability. Yeah.
So I did all of my research, and it's really good for all of the videos on note taking. Is like, oh, I'm a bio major, so I use it for illustrations, or a nursing major, and I'm like visually seeing the body parts and knowing what's what, and it's just
copy paste from the book and do the labels that way.
So I think it would be great for you. I'm so excited for you.
I think I talked at least my stepdad into it, so because he asked me today, he's like, is there an Apple store near you, or how would I get it to you? He hasn't said yes completely, but yeah. And then I think Jonathan's gonna get me, if they get me the iPad, Jonathan's gonna get me the pencil, so that way they're not spending,
Yeah.
And then I'll buy my own accessories.
Yeah, so you can make it how you want.
Yeah. But I'm super excited. And then now with this new job, it's a lot of, if there's not orders coming in, it's a lot of sitting around. So if I just take my iPad with me, get everything done there.
So easily, very compact, very, you know what I mean? So yeah. But let's talk about your new job. Okay, so before we filmed this, me and Ray were just chit-chatting it up, and she started getting into her new job, and I was so intrigued, and she was like, wait, save it for the podcast. So so tell me what we were talking about.
Okay, so I'm not gonna say names because I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to promote or anything via the handbook, but my new job is a warehouse customer service type job. So basically I will be packing, people order through this company's app, and I accept those orders, and then I shop our warehouse, which is basically a big 7-Eleven in the back of our front desk, whatever, and I pack these orders, I scan them through, bag them, and send them off with a driver. But I was telling Ray, this company has wine, liquor, and beer. Yes, and then I have chips, cookies, candy, nicotine products, adult toys. Yeah.
Adult toys?
Mm-hmm.
Delivered. Get your Doritos and dingalings.
Yeah, and I was like, when I saw that on their things, I used the app, and I was like, they have to just be talking about condoms and stuff. There's no way they deliver other stuff. They deliver everything.
Oh my gosh.
And it was funny because when I went to my orientation, the guy my manager was showing me around, and he was just very adult toys. Okay, here's the walk.
Don't pay attention to that. Let's just keep going. I mean, can you imagine how awkward that could be though? Doing an orientation and being like, and here are our, make sure you handle them with care. People really care about these things. These are actually our most sold products. So you really want to make sure that you handle them with care.
These are the most important. But
no, don't get them dirty. Don't get them dirty. You better wear your gloves when you get those.
The other girl that's my position that was there, she was telling me that it's just so awkward for the drivers because people will order them. And she had one this week where they ordered it, they delivered it, and then she calls and was like, it's not working. And so they had to go and this driver, they sent a different driver so it wouldn't be as awkward, but this driver had to go and take her a new one and take the old one back. And he said that she was so embarrassed. He felt awkward because it was young girl and he was an older dude. Yeah, and then they delivered a pregnancy test the next week to the same house. And I was like, okay.
Interesting. That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's so
and then,
crazy.
So there's that stuff. There's nicotine, vapes, that kind of stuff. Dog supplies.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Baby stuff, household cleaners,
The
everything.
variety.
Yeah,
The variety is crazy.
It's so convenient. Like before this, I just made an order because now I get 20% off. So I made an order, and like I'm never gonna go to the regular grocery store again. They literally have produce. Like they have everything, and it's like it's marked up a little bit, but it's not like crazy. Like it's worth the convenience of not having to leave my house.
Yeah.
And then they have like a membership that if you pay monthly for the membership, you don't have to pay delivery, and 3 deliveries pays for that membership basically. Like you would have paid the membership for 3 delivery fees.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I got my schedule for next week. I got 38 hours off the bat.
Jeez.
He's already kind of given me a project because we were there, and he's like right now because they get products, like they get new stuff to like because they're building their inventory and stuff. And right now he has Crayolas next to vapes. And he's like, so, you know, that kind of doesn't make sense. Are you good at organizing? Because I want to reorganize this whole store. And I was like, I could do that. And so, like, to me, I was like, you just met me and you're already giving me, like, this big project. Like, you know what I mean? So I think he liked me.
And you're going to be getting those steps in, girl.
Yes. I got to charge my Apple Watch because I can finally wear that bad boy. Because, I mean, I could wear it at Chipotle, technically. But, like, I have a magnetic band, and all the spoons are magnetic. So, like, when I'm serving, it's, like, it gets stuck to me. So, I'm like, I don't wear it. So, and I don't like the rubber band because it, like, squeezes me too much. So, but, yeah, I'm excited. So, now the hard part is I'm already scheduled at Chipotle for this week, and I can't do some of my shifts. So that's going to be fun to tell them. She's
going to figure it out.
Yeah, I'll
because
figure it out.
She doesn't want to leave the manager hanging and be that coworker.
I'll get some covers or, you know, whatever. I'll give her a couple days notice if I have to call out completely. But yeah, and Friday will be my last day there. Because I got my own insurance. So yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, the only reason I was going to be staying at Chipotle was to keep my medical insurance. Because, you know, legally I need to have it now, whatever. And my current, where I'm going, they don't offer it until you get promoted. So hopefully I'll get promoted soon enough where I could, like, end my insurance or whatever. But even if I don't, I got a really good deal for medical, dental, and vision. And right now at Chipotle, I only have medical. So it was a better deal for me.
She's an adult, you guys. Dude, you're literally speaking a language I don't know. I'm just like...
If you guys don't know me, I hate talking to anybody on the phone. Like, I make Jonathan call to make my appointments. I still make my mom figure out student loan stuff for me.
I feel like that too. I feel like I get a little anxiety when I talk to, like,
major anxiety
on the phone and, like, insurance people. I'm like, oh my God, they're trying to scam me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I hate it. Yeah, it's rough.
I was like, what was I say? Oh, and so I went online. I was like trying to just look for insurance stuff, and I was like, I don't get this. And like I submitted to this company that like finds you the best insurance, like so it wasn't through a specific insurance thing. And they called me within like 5 minutes, and I missed their first call because I got so anxious that I didn't know if I wanted to answer it.
Just watching them ring.
And then they called me again, and I was like I mentally had to prepare myself, like, so bad.
No, same, like me too. I it's taken me a while to finally be able to do that. But yeah, and you know what I think it was because my mom, when I was younger, she would make me call like to order food. Like, oh, call them and order right now while we're on our way, right? And when I would hang up, she'd be like, why didn't you just say it like this? You make everything so much more difficult. Like, do you even know what you're talking about? You need to sound like you know. And I just, ever since then, I'm like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I have anxiety. I can't.
It was opposite. Like, I want to say up until I was like 13 years old, I made my mom order my food at restaurants.
Restaurants?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I was so picky, so I was so scared of like asking for like...
You didn't know how to say it in a nice way yet. You were like...
No, like I was nervous and I felt bad being like, can I get it without onions? Or like, can I get it plain? Or like, you know, like I felt bad. Because like my mom, everyone would be like, "Why are you so picky? Just get it how it comes." Like, you know. So they made me feel bad about it.
Take it out yourself.
Yeah, and then my mom was like, "No, she doesn't like it. She doesn't have to get it." And so she would like, you know. And it's just funny because everything I would be like, "Can I get it without this?" Now I'm like, "Ooh, can I get extra?" Like.
Your taste buds change when you get older.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
The only thing that like I know that I hate it when I was little and I still hate is tomatoes.
Well, you know what? I don't really like cherry tomatoes. Every other tomato though, I can.
People pop those things and I'm like, ugh.
I'm like, oh, it's just so much like sogginess in your mouth.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is for me. I think it's a texture thing because I feel like tomatoes don't really taste like anything, and like if they're mixed into something, I'm fine. But I can't eat like a slice of tomato in a sandwich or like a burger or you know like a snack. Like I can't.
You know what's funny is that we say that like tomatoes don't really have a taste, which may be true. Like they're pretty tasteless. I mean, kind of. But like I love ketchup. Can't have anything without ketchup. Love tomato sauce for spaghetti. Like best flavor in the world, you know, is a regular Marinara tomato.
I don't like ketchup, and I would prefer to have like a white sauce than a tomato sauce.
She's a ranch girl. No,
I'm talking like pasta. Like I'd rather have like Alfredo or like a vinaigrette type of dressing or like pesto over like tomato typical spaghetti sauce.
I'm so much of a spaghetti gal. Like any new Italian place, I'm like, let me try their spaghetti because if their spaghetti's whack, this whole place is whack. Like that's me. And you don't even go for that. That's like the traditional.
Yeah. I mean, I'll eat it. Don't get me wrong. Like that's the only like thing of tomato that I like, but I don't prefer it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So if I have a choice, I wouldn't get it. My grandma still separates, when she makes spaghetti, my grandma still separates my noodles for me and does like a butter. I don't ask her to, she just does it because out of habit, she knows. Like, because when I was little, I wouldn't eat spaghetti sauce at all.
Oh my gosh.
You know what's funny? My brother's the same way with spaghetti. Well, he used to be the same way with spaghetti up until maybe a couple years ago, 2-3 years ago. But he loves pizza. He'll eat pizza every single day. And he doesn't like comprehend. And he doesn't like cheese except provolone. But he doesn't comprehend that there's different cheese on pizza and tomato sauce on pizza.
I mean, don't get it twisted though, because I know what it's like. Like, I hate cheese. Okay, and I grew up saying, like, I hated cheese. Love pizza. Love me some good nachos. Love me, you know, what else has cheese in it that I love? I don't know. There's things that, like, I love cheese in, like pizza, all that stuff, right? But I don't like cheese in my burger. I think it's nasty. American cheese, I've learned to say, like, okay, American cheese is what I really don't F with. Love some Parmesan cheese. Parmesan cheese all over my spaghetti. Love that, you know? But something about American cheese really just rubs me the wrong way.
American cheese, no matter where you get it, tastes so fake. Like, even if it's not the Kraft singles, like, it just tastes fake. Like, even at Jersey Mike's, they use white American cheese. It tastes fake to me. Like, and Jersey Mike doesn't use, like, fake things, but it still tastes fake. But and then, me too. I used to hate cheese. When I was like 5, I went to a Mexican restaurant and I was like, I have the confidence. I think this is also why I stopped ordering at restaurants, because I was like, can I get a quesadilla with no cheese? And the guy laughed at me, obviously, because why would you not laugh at that? That's so funny.
Wait, how old were you though?
I was like 4 or 5.
So that's cute, buddy. That's not like, it's cute.
It is, but it's like, and now I'll go with, if we have like a block of cheese, I'll go in there, cut a piece, and just eat it like that. I fucking love cheese now. Like, and like crazy cheese, like Gouda and feta and pepper jack and everything except American. I can't get into American.
Yeah. What is this intro, man? We literally went off the rails.
Because it's funny. That's real. But there you go, guys. Ray hates cheese, except on pizza. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's
get into this. Yeah.
So do you want to kind of tell them the people we're going to talk about, or introduce them one by one?
No, let's do it one by one. Let's do it one by one. Okay. And before we start, I just want to say there was a lot of options that we had. I think like once we really started looking into it, we were like, oh shoot, how about these people? How about these people? How about these people? However, you know, we want to make this relatively, you know, we could do this for like 2 hours. I feel like if we really went into like all the characters we know you guys aren't into that. But also there were so many shows that I feel like either I watched and Ray didn't, or vice versa, and we wanted to talk about it but we couldn't. So maybe, just like maybe we'll do another part two, and we'll bring out some other.
I just thought of another one too. It's so funny. So
I thought of another one too, and at the end I'll probably do some honorable mentions.
Yeah.
You know, that were like coming in, and we were just like, oh, maybe, because we wanted to keep this down to like 5. Because we
have 5 good friends and a couple example of bad friends, so we went over the 5.
Yeah, I know. We kind of went over 5. And then I was even thinking, too, we need to do, like, bromances.
Yeah, we do, for sure.
You know? So that could be another option, because I have some bros that I think would be cool for that.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so let's get started then. Are you ready?
Yes. So I believe the first one is going to be good old DJ Tanner and Kimmy Gibbler. From Full House.
Yes, Full House. I loved watching that when I was little. Love.
Same. I remember one of my teammates had the whole collection, like DVD collection, and I would ask to go to her house after practice so we could just watch it.
I loved watching it. I think that was they were the reason why I want a golden retriever, and that will remain my dream dog for the rest of my life.
Comment.
Anyway. Yes, comment. But yeah, so DJ and Kimmy, what did you think about their relationship, their friendship? So let's dive into what that was.
Okay, so I think their friendship was like a perfect example of opposites attract. Kimmy's always trying to get DJ in trouble, but at the end of the day, they're always there for each other no matter the situation. My favorite episodes are where Kimmy gets a little serious and like helps DJ through situations, but in a Kimmy way. Like she's not, you know what I mean?
Like DJ, that's what I kind of said that too. Like DJ's not total opposites. Like you were saying, DJ's very type A, and Kimmy's very like funny, goofy, dorky, geeky, like so awkwardly doesn't care. And I think that's another reason why they mesh so well together, is because there was genuine love there, you know. But you know, DJ was like type A, very normal girl, really cared about what others thought, like really dived into boy drama, you know. Right in middle school was all about the boys, and they were so different, but they balanced each other out, like you were saying.
And then I don't know if you watched Fuller House.
I did.
The fact that those are like my favorite, because they kept that friendship, and I feel like in Fuller House it's even more like real life situations, like the whole DJ losing her husband and her redating again, and Kimmy, you know, being the support, and like kids. Get out there, and kids and their kids growing up together, they're each other's, you know, their kids' aunts, like, you know, they basically live together, like they live down the street from each other again. And then
another thing I wanted. What?
My favorite thing about the Fuller House thing is that they have the she-wolves, where they're the three of them with Stephanie, and I think that's important to add in there too, is that Kimmy was totally okay with including Stephanie and Michelle and, you know, all of her DJ sisters into their friendship whenever they had to, which I think is also a good sign of a good friend, because you don't want a friend that tries to leave your siblings out. So. You
want a friend that's gonna beat up whoever needs to be beat up because your sibling's getting bullied. That's the friend you need, you know? I was gonna say a big part, I think, of their friendship too was that Kimmy lived right next door, and so like they grew up together like sisters, and like DJ was the oldest sister of 3, and she didn't have like that person to do stuff with, you know. It was always like she was the mom. And because first of all, if you guys don't know the storyline to Full House, go watch Full House, please. That's like a classic. You need to go. But you would know that the mom passed away, and so DJ was kind of like forced with her sisters, because it was a dad with 3 girls, and so you just think like she probably needed that like girl companion, and she had that from when she was little, and she just stuck.
Because it was her dad and basically her two uncles until her uncle married. They didn't get that woman figure until she was already in middle school. Yeah, Aunt Becky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think I just loved, like, what I loved was just like the innocence of that show in general was just so, like, I think that was like a great thing to grow up with, because like as a kid you think of just the pure love for a friend that you have no matter what. And I mean, you see them go through stuff too, like as the season goes.
Anything that you can think of you go through as an elementary school they started in middle school, huh? They started with middle school. From middle school through high school, and that even with Fuller House, adulthood. And Fuller House is basically the same storyline, but it's DJ raising her 3 sons without a dad, because her husband passed away.
Such a good flip on that. But yeah, it was. One thing I love about their friendship was just the fact that because like they had fights in high school and stuff, and they always like drew back to each other no matter how. I feel like DJ was a little
crazy.
I don't want to say crazy, but she was. I think Kimmy was a better friend to her than she was to Kimmy. There was a lot of times where Miss DJ was in the wrong, and Kimmy still just had like this love, because it's like a love that you form when you're little girls, you know, like that, like your first friend. Are you kidding? You know, so I think I love that, and I love that it stayed so strong no matter what, you know.
And I think going off that, a lot of it was that, again, DJ cared what other people thought, and Kimmy was the weirdo. Like, you know, she wore the crazy outfits and the funny earrings and all this stuff, and she cared, like, oh, well, people are gonna see me with Kimmy, like Kimmy's crazy, like, you know. And on the flip of that, when something would go wrong with DJ, say her new friends or whatever, Kimmy was still there no matter what, no matter how DJ treated Kimmy, which can go either way on Kimmy's part. But it was genuine love, and DJ almost always realized that she was in the wrong and appreciated Kimmy. Yeah.
That's the thing, is DJ always came to the realization that she was in the wrong and always would apologize to Kimmy. So I think I loved their friendship. I think it was a good start to growing up, you know what I mean? Like watching it as a kid and seeing that. That's a great example of just good American TV.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, good American TV in general, because they're show, you know. Okay, let's move on.
All right, so the next one, I think.
Who would it be? I think I know. Peyton? Yes.
Okay.
Brooke. Okay, this show, One Tree Hill.
I'm going to admit.
This is my show.
I watched it later. Like, I didn't grow up watching it. I watched it in college. But
oh, interesting.
I loved this show. And it's funny because my Nina and my godbrother were watching it when I was still in high school. And I guess it was more of a 90s show, like a late 90s show.
Early 2000s.
So, you know, my Nina would watch it when she just had my godbrother. And she's like, you need to watch it. Like, I'm just getting on dress into it. It's so good. It's so good. And I was like, whatever. Like, you know. And then I got bored and I just started watching it in college when I was still in Vegas. And I was like, I couldn't put it down. Like, or I couldn't push pause. Like, that is my shit. And I was just telling Ray, like, I'm so sad they took it off Netflix. And then she told me it's on Hulu. And I started watching it again because I love this show.
Okay, I got into it early before high school because Danae was obsessed. She had all of the seasons DVD, like she was obsessed. And so I kind of didn't like it at first because of how obsessed she was with it. But then she would just like, you know, make me watch it. It would be on whenever I would be at her house. And then I started really getting into it. So then I binge watched it.
Ray has a bunch of One Tree Hill stickers on her laptop.
Close over bros forever. Yes, on my laptop. No, I love this show. So this show, I like wrote down all my notes on their friendship because I
will let you take it away then.
I love their friendship. Okay.
Just for the record, once I watched One Tree Hill, Peyton is on like my baby list name. I freaking love that name now. Like, I don't know why. Yeah.
Or just like, I love their nicknames for each other, like P. Sawyer, B. Davis. Like, I love their name. Oh, their names are just so good.
Or that they named their kids like their last names. I think that's so cute. So, like, if you guys don't know, Peyton has a baby. I'm not going to say, like, who lands up with who, but Peyton has a baby, a little girl, and they name her Sawyer. And then Brooke has...
Sawyer, Brooke.
Yeah. And then Brooke has two twin boys, and one of them's Davis. So, yeah. I think that's so cute. And then... oh my god, I'm blanking on what's her face's name.
Ooh.
Lucas's best, huh?
Haley and Nathan.
Yes. And then they sorry, I like blank.
That's like the main. Those are like the main.
I know. I don't like. I was picturing her, and I couldn't think of her name. And then they named their son Jameson, right?
Jamie. Jamie.
Yeah. So,
yeah. They have cute names. All their names are.
It's all their girls.
I feel like they're pretty spot on. What?
Yeah, all their girls that had babies, it's their last name that they named the baby.
Pause. And it's on Hulu. You might have to go through the commercials, but I promise it's worth it. No, so their boy troubles, right? I think that was like their main downfall. That was that was such a high school thing, though. That was such a high school thing.
This show follows them in high school.
This show follows them from high school all the way until they're like almost 30, I think, or something like that. Like, well,
the last season, it's like fast forwards. To,
like, really?
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
They like go through like their college years.
College year.
And then
really?
And then it kind of like the last couple episodes. There, I think it says like, fast forward so many years.
They fast forward 4 years after high school. They fast forward 4 years. So I feel like, did any of them even go to college? No.
I think only Nathan did.
Oh, yes. Because he was pro. Basketball. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I love that show so much. So
the only thing that was weird to me is that it's a basketball high school movie. Like, there's no football, baseball, and it's totally opposite than like our experience. Because there was basketball, but like the basketball players were all football players.
Yeah, they literally did not show any other sport even being like showcased in the background. It was just like pure basketball. And it was
a basketball school.
And that was okay. But no, for me, the reason why I admire them so much is because I wanted to be just like them. Obviously,
did you
I grew up watching them.
More to Brooke or Peyton?
I love Brooke so much. Obviously, I'm more of a Brooke gal. I feel like people can tell that, obviously.
And I think I'm more of a Peyton.
Yes, Danae fell in love with Peyton, and she was like into Peyton, and so I was like, I can't take Peyton from her. Like, that's her thing.
I was more of a Peyton, like Peyton's style, her music taste.
Yeah, totally I see that any better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyways, loved that. So I wanted to find myself a Peyton. You know what I mean? No, but I think, so boys being their downfall, so they had this rivalry between Lucas and Nathan. Lucas and
Nathan. Because Peyton, at the beginning of the show, Peyton's dating Nathan.
Yes,
and
Peyton's dating
Nathan. Basketball player. Like, they're the it couple.
Yes, she's on the cheer team, even though she's not very cheerleader-esque type. I don't know why they did that to her.
I think that's the funny part of it.
Yeah, well, was with Nathan, and then Brooke was getting introduced to Lucas in the beginning, right? So she was like, ooh, like, because, Brooke was a little more...
flat. A little more out there, like she was flirty.
She was a little flirt. She was like, let's not be PG. She showed up in Lucas's car naked.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
3 episodes in, she is in Lucas's car all naked when he comes out of a basketball game, right, waiting for him. So yes, she's the high school slut. But
it's also important to mention Brooke was home alone a lot of the time. Her parents were like business people, constantly traveling, so she had all this money in a big house by herself.
Nobody there.
Yeah.
She grew up without parents, really. And Peyton's mom died at a young age. And that's another thing I wanted to mention about their friendship is they grew up together. Like, they lived close to each other, and they grew up in school. And when Peyton's mom died, Brooke was there for her, and that's how they became really close. And then
her dad was a truck driver, right? Or her dad was gone all the time too.
Her dad was gone all the time. So they both had parents that weren't there, so they really leaned on each other and raised each other, So when this whole boy drama happened, you know, we had Peyton with Lucas, Brooke with
Peyton with Nathan.
Oh, shoot. Peyton with Nathan. Okay, it's just because that relationship literally lasts for like 3 episodes, and then it's never even a thing. Like never even. Yeah, that's like not even almost a thing ever again.
Which is
like
so funny to me because the first couple episodes, it's like Peyton and Nathan are like they're introduced as if they're gonna be the couple of the show. Like, you know,
twist. Yeah, they're not. There's no way.
And then Brooke's trying to get Lucas, and Lucas has a best friend, Haley, who is his wing woman. Like, she is there for every step of the way. She is Lucas's like ride or die, which is another friendship we could have gone into.
If you're able to be platonic friends.
Yes.
You know, naturally like good-hearted platonic friends.
And it was always kind of like in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, Lucas is trying to get all these it girls. Haley was just kind of like, you know, she was there, but she wasn't. Not until later in the season did she become like or later in the show did she become a cheerleader and all that stuff.
She was forced to.
Yeah, but she was like the nerdy little, you know, little just best friend of. She was the shunned girl, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know.
She hung out with the outsider.
Yeah,
she did.
There you go.
Yeah.
So she's in there too, and you know, she's just talking Lucas through all this stuff. She's very iffy about Brooke when he starts dating Brooke.
Yes, she is. Because, I mean, Brooke wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
She was known. Brooke was known.
Yeah, so that was that. But, yeah.
But back to Peyton and
it's just because Haley comes into the picture later on. That's why she
does. They become a good trio. But from the beginning, though, it's like something about just them two. But, yeah, I think monumental moments in the show of their friendship were... when Peyton got they got into fights a lot about the boys, right? And there was one episode where they fought really, like, physically. I don't know if you remember this episode. They physically fought, and this was the episode right before the prom episode where Peyton gets freaking beaten by her crazy, not really brother. And so in the beginning of the day before prom, right, Brooke and Peyton are fighting, and they're saying bad words to each other, you know, because I think... What was it? Like, Peyton found out that Brooks made a sex tape with Nathan. Do you remember that? When Peyton and Nathan, after they broke up, like the day, Brooke made a sex tape with him, and it got out
at that party or whatever that they had, and it was like just on all the TVs at this party, and it was literally like it got filmed right after Peyton and Nathan had broken up, and Brooke was supposedly still supposed to be with Gus.
Yes. And then at that same time, though, during prom, like, Peyton is kind of back and forth with Lucas right now because she had already broken up with Nathan. She was just hurt that, you know, they did that right after the fact. But so Peyton was still, like, back and forth with Lucas, and so Brooke was upset because Brooke wanted to get at Lucas, too. So they were both, you know, got into a big fight, brawled in front of Peyton's house, like, brawling, right? And then later on in the episode, like, Brooke feels bad right before prom, and she goes to check up on Peyton. And that's when she finds out that Peyton's in trouble because Peyton was being held hostage by this crazy loony. And then the whole episode is them physically fighting for their life. That was always a scary episode for me to watch. That was such a scary episode.
Because this crazy loony guy breaks into Peyton's house. She's already getting weird. Like, the episode before, I think, she starts getting weird, like, something's not right at the house. Like, I feel like I'm being watched. Like, stuff like that. And this guy is her half-brother or her mom's first kid or
supposedly some type of brother, but he's not. Crazy. He was just a stalker who was in love with her.
Yeah.
But
he reached out to her kind of basically trying to say, like, oh, you know, we have the same mom, but you can't confirm it because our mom's dead. Whatever. Mm-hmm. He was just obsessed with Peyton for some reason. I don't remember how he, like, even saw Peyton, but he was obsessed with Peyton, broke into her house. Brooke went to go check on her, like she said, and then I feel like that was a turning point because after that point, the boys kind of didn't matter in their friendship as much, like fighting over the boys. And they were still there to support each other through relationships, but it was more
going through something like that with someone, and like really just you guys fighting for not only your guys' life but each other's life. Like that's a monumental moment. So yeah, after that, I feel like they were both just like, hey, whatever you want.
And like both those girls turned into some fucking badasses in that episode.
Can we say that? Yes, because they obviously won. I don't know if they killed him. I forgot if they killed him. I don't know.
I just remember thinking it was crazy that after they called the cops, the first person they called was Lucas. I was like, what is he gonna do? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
not even like
they didn't even call their parents. They called Lucas after the cops showed up.
Both, I know. Well, because they both. I think honestly, I think it's because they were supposed to go. One of them was supposed to go to prom with Lucas, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't remember.
Or something like that.
But yeah, that episode was scary for me to watch.
Yeah, I hated watching that one.
I was alone in my dorm room that time. My roommates had gone home to Hawaii, so I was just like,
that's right. You were in like college. I was in like freaking middle school, thinking that would really happen to me one day. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, I was like actually on my own, so I was like, fuck.
Yeah, that's scary. Okay, another thing though is let me see. So what I was going to say is they always were able to make each other, because they were kind of insecure individuals, like on their own. Like, even though Brooke, I feel like, is so beautiful in real life. Okay, she's beautiful.
Victoria something.
I don't know what her name is.
Sophia Bush. Oh, there's Sophia Bush. Why did I think Victoria? Yeah, Sophia Bush.
So beautiful. But she, in the series, like, she went through a lot of, insecurities. Remember that one episode where she drew, oh, you know what? When she got freaking beat up in her store. Fast forward to her being a freaking business owner. She makes clothes, like that's her dream, being a designer. So she's a designer. Her shop gets broken into, she gets beat up, like she just gets ambushed, and then she starts feeling like she's weak, because I think like her character was just based on this, like, I am a strong person, like I don't need anyone. She didn't grow up,
woman, like I
didn't grow up with her parents. Yes, like she was like, I don't need anybody. And so that moment,
anyone her weakness except Peyton.
Never, except for Peyton. And that moment, like, she really just felt weak, and like she was defeated. Like everything she had worked for was lost, right? And she wrote on her mirror, like on all of her bruises and stuff, she wrote like weak, like she circled them in the mirror with her lipstick, and she wrote all of these bad names about herself, right? And then Peyton, she went in and she wrote all of the good things about, so just like reminding her, like, no. And that's what, and Brooke did that a lot too throughout the series. Like she was always reminding Peyton, like, don't think that you're not good enough, like don't, like, you are a star, P Sawyer, like it's just. So I think that was something I was like, wow, like I love that they were so like
women supporting women before that was a big movement.
Yes, and it really was, because they really took down this like idea of boys being everything and focused on. I love that they focused on that friendship throughout the whole series, and that was just like something so strong, kept on for how many seasons until P Sawyer had to leave. But yeah, I loved that. I love their friendship.
And then I like that sorry guys, I'm gonna ruin it. The last episode is all of these friends. So Nathan, Lucas, Peyton, Brooke. Brooke lands up marrying some guy that didn't even go to their high school, which is ironic, because she's the school slut, and she finds somebody not even at school. Haley, all of them. It's this last picture of them all in the gym with all of their kids. And I don't know why. Like at the time, I was like, that's how it ended. Like, come on. But looking back, like, it was cute, that's how it started. All of them in the gym playing basketball, cheering. Haley in the stands supporting her best friend, and there you go. Now it's them, and the little ones are gonna start.
Yeah, it was so cute. I loved that show. I loved Brooke as a character. She was like my favorite character throughout the whole show. I think the one character though that we didn't really talk about, that I feel like really was the best character growth ever, was Nathan.
Oh yeah,
he grew so much. He was such a butt face in the beginning seasons,
he
grew as a character.
Jock, his family had money, he was the star player.
No, he was so mean, like so mean. I was looking at old episodes and I'm like, oh my gosh, you were like so mean.
Didn't him and Haley get pregnant in high school?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I think that was what churned him. And then he had an injury when he went pro and he got mean again. And then his kid brought him out of it. So
that's what I'm saying. His whole character development was just like phenomenal. Well done. But yeah, I think that's, I mean, just as much as I could say, just gawking over.
Go watch that show, guys. I feel like every person, at least every girl needs to see that show. It is amazing. I got really into it. I have nothing bad. I mean, it is a little cheesy, but it's like an American soap opera kind of.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a soap opera. Like it's supposed to be a little.
It's cheesy. It has Sophia Bush. What's his name? Oh my God, what's Lucas? I'm obsessed with him. Chad Michael Murray.
Chad Michael Murray. Oh,
he's beautiful.
I've been
in love with him since another Cinderella story with Hilary Duff.
This was before that one.
So then next, I think, would be Meredith and Christina.
Yes.
This is, I think, my favorite friendship of all of the ones we're going to talk about.
Okay.
If you guys don't know, Grey's Anatomy, Meredith. What's Meredith?
Never get over George O'Malley. I was in love. When I say in love, I was in love. I don't care. He was so cute to me. Like,
character was great. He was the best character on that show.
He was the best character.
When he got cut, I'm sorry, ruining it again. When he died, I wanted to cry. Like,
I did cry. Are you joking? I cried. I couldn't even watch for a moment. Like, I really had to just step away from Netflix as a whole for a couple days to recover because it was heartbreaking. I couldn't do it.
Callie, I wanted to be Callie so bad. I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, and she was fucking badass, and she was the only Latina girl.
She lived in the hospital.
Yeah, she lived in the
basement.
In the basement.
That's pretty badass.
The only Latina doctor. Like, and she was into bones, and this is when I was like hardcore, like, I'm gonna be like anatomy, biology, physiology. Like, I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking orthopedic surgeon. And then I saw the schooling and I was like, yeah, not for me.
Yeah.
But anyways, Meredith and Christina. So if you guys haven't seen Grey's Anatomy, just a little recap. So the show starts with them as residents? Is it residents? I don't remember anything.
Residency.
Okay, the residency after medical school. So that basically, they're doing their different, in the different floors of the hospital, figuring out what they're good at, what they're going to be, whatever. So you start with 5 residents. It's Meredith Grey, Christina Yang, George O'Malley, Alex Karev, and Izzy. I don't know her last name. And Izzy Stevens. So they're the 5 main residents that we start with. And from the beginning, Karev is the stupid little, like, how the hell did you even get through med school?
Talk about character development, though, as
Alex
well.
Karev is,
put that star right there next to his name.
Karev is my man. That's who I was obsessed with. I was in love with him. Everyone was so, like, Derek Shepherd, McDreamy, McSteamy. No. Alex Karev. Izzy was the drama-filled one. There was always something going wrong with her.
The
princess, like, ew, like, I got blood on me kind of girl.
Kind of, yeah.
Not not for real, but yeah.
No, yeah, she took that role. She took, like, that role, yeah.
George O'Malley was the sweetheart, and he was smart. He was great. He just had the heart.
Loved him. Yes.
Christina Yang was the fucking girl genius.
Yes.
Like, she knew everything off the top of her head. She was going to be the best doctor. Like,
the woman, yes.
And then Meredith, who the show is all based off of, is the daughter of a renowned surgeon who came up with this whole new method, whole new, practicing everything, research, whatever. So she's this prodigy that's supposed to be amazing. And this whole show is about her struggles to reach this standard that everyone's holding her up to because she is the daughter of her mother. So, of Alice Grey.
So let's get into their friendship, okay? Yes. I love it because they're both damaged. I know that like they were, what are they calling, like twisted sisters or something like that.
They're each other's person. Where they say you're my person,
they're each other's person. Yes, you think it would be like Meredith and Derek, but no, like this relationship, and it really hurt me when she left, because I feel like they really could have taken this relationship throughout the whole thing.
What I do like, not to ruin anything or jump ahead, but whenever something big happens in Meredith's life, the episode ends with a phone and it says Christina on there. So it's either she's calling Christina, Christina's calling her.
Yeah, that's true.
And there is always little hints where she's like, oh yeah, I talked to Christina and this has happened. So they kept her on, like, the actress isn't there, alive. But they kept her character there. Because, long story short, Christina gets a really good deal because Christina decides to be a heart surgeon. She decides to go the cardio path. And she gets a really good deal outside of Gray Sloan, which is the hospital they work at. And so she takes that. It's like a big head position, and so she leaves Gray Sloan. Yeah. So that's how they write off Christina, but they don't really write her off
but they don't write her off until like season what?
Yeah, 9, season like 10? Way down the line, because you still see Christina's life. Like they flash to Christina's new hospital, and they follow
really?
Christina. Yeah, a couple of the episodes they go back because she moves with Burke, which is the cardio attendee, because she marries him.
She went to his hospital.
Yeah, after he was gonna step
after
down.
They left. Yeah. But okay, so what were your kind of like favorite moments of their friendship, you think?
Oh my god, there's so many.
I know.
I just think of the constant times, like they'll have a hard day at the hospital, and then they go back to Meredith's house, and they're sitting there drinking wine, and they're like, "Let's just get over this day.
They have their dance parties.
Their dance parties. Everything that goes on with Derek, because Christina's already gone, but when Derek dies, sorry, ruined it. I think everybody knows that Derek dies.
Yeah, Derek dies.
That episode, she's gone, and Meredith is on the phone with Christina almost the whole episode, I want to say. Yeah. Or even if she's like talking to someone else, it's them. It's Christina and Alex, because Izzy gets written off, George dies, and Christina leaves to the other hospital. So when Christina leaves, Karev becomes her like secondary person. Yeah. So, but Alex is always going, "Have you talked to Christina?" Like, because everybody knows that Christina is Meredith's support. Like, that is her person.
That's how strong the relationship is, that the writers knew, even though her contract might be up, we still need to keep this person on the show some type of way, because their relation, it was true. Like, that's what made the whole series. When I think of them, I think of like soulmates. Like you said, like Christina was the one that coined the term to Meredith. Yeah. Like, "You're my person." Remember when she used Meredith as a freaking because she wanted to get an abortion when she got pregnant with Bert, and she used Meredith as her emergency contact, and that's when she was like, like, "You're my person," when they were in the bar or whatnot. And then so I was just like, man, they're real soulmates, because they understand each other like no one else does for some weird reason. And it's weird because all of the grown-ups, all of the friends that I feel like we have kind of talked about are like been friends since they were, little, went through all this life together, right? With them, they met after college, in residency. And so they didn't know each other's past. They didn't know.
They went to medical school together. No. Obviously, you guys don't know. After medical school, you get placed somewhere, and you don't know where that's going to be. And they just got placed together, and they clicked.
And so that kind of puts a whole new aspect of like how they were real soulmates, because they didn't have to know about each other's past. They didn't have to really have like this connection of knowing somebody. So
they learned about each other when they were already adults in a workplace. Yeah,
like in a workplace. And I feel like they didn't even have to learn. They just knew. It was like this unspoken, like, I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah, it's such a good friendship that it's hard to like explain why it worked, because it's just one of those things.
It just did. And like they had their monumental moments, like that showcased just how much they only understood each other, nobody else did. Like when Christina was getting married and she couldn't walk down the aisle, you know? What were some other moments?
When I don't exactly know what they were. I don't remember exactly what they were looking for, but they were looking for something that Ellis Gray had done, and they were looking through all of because Ellis Gray journals, and the whole episode was Christina and Meredith just going through these journals, and Christina was right there by her side, and Meredith is like, you can stop, like, you don't have to help me with this, and Christina's like, no, it's important to you, so I'm gonna help you look for it. And they were upstairs in Meredith's room with a bottle of wine reading these journals, like,
and they were reading them during work too, like they would be walking around the hospital reading them, just like I think
different projects that they would work on, they would help each other out. Even though Meredith wasn't a cardio specialist, she was a general surgeon. She would help Christina figure out cardio issues. Christina would help Meredith figure out general surgery stuff.
And I think something important to mention too, a very, very monumental moment of their friendship, I think, is remember when there was an active shooter in the hospital, right? Yes. And Derek gets shot, right? So Christina has to work with Derek. So she's like working with Derek, but there's still an active shooter, so everybody's tense. Then something happens with Owen. I don't know if he gets shot too or something happens. And at the time, Christina Yang is with Owen and Meredith is with Derek, right? So that's their love interest, right? And it's so ironic that Christina Yang was in a position.
Owen was doing surgery. Oh, no, that's a different episode. Just kidding. That's another episode, but I'll talk about that one too.
Okay. So Christina Yang was in the position to save Derek's life, Meredith's love, and Meredith was in a position, Meredith was in a position to have to save Owen's life. And in the middle of surgery, Meredith has a miscarriage. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's in the middle of surgery, right? And she's like, I don't care. Like, I need to save my best friend. Yeah. For my person, I need to save this. I don't, you know what I mean?
And
like to
Christina
put yours.
said the same exact thing.
Christina said the same thing. Like, no, this man is not dying on my watch, because they knew that no matter how much they meant to each other, they were able to see and put themselves aside for, their
loved one. Yeah,
their loved ones. Yeah. So I don't know. I just thought that was beautiful.
Yeah. Remember when Meredith had to hold that bomb in her hand? Yeah. And Christina was freaking out the whole episode.
Yes, where she was like, no, like, I'm not going to let you go in there. You're going to die. And Meredith's like, I have to because of Derek. Something happened with Derek, I think. Like, he was in trouble or something. So she had to feel like she had to do it. And, and she did it anyways, and she accomplished it. But I know she was. But their friendship, definitely.
This is, like, pivotal. I can't believe we didn't even think about this. Remember when Derek died and Meredith was gone for like a whole season almost, and we knew where she was, but nobody at the hospital knew where she was. She had a baby. She had a baby without anybody knowing. She had her 2 kids. Like, nobody knew where she was, not even Alex, nobody. The only person that knew where she was and was able to keep it a secret, because even people at the hospital called Christina, was Christina, because Christina knew she needed to get away from everybody, have time by herself, have her last baby that she would ever have with Derek, and just soak in the fact that Derek wasn't there anymore and just be by herself. And Christina kept that secret from everyone that cared about Meredith. And I think that, like, not even being able to tell them anything, she said, like, oh, I haven't heard from her, like, or they were like, she's fine, whatever. But knowing that, for Christina, knowing that Karev and Bailey, Weber, all of these people love Meredith just as much as Christina does. Yeah. And not saying where she was or giving them reassurance, that takes so much strength as a friend, because she knew that if she told them this information, they would bombard Meredith. So she had to be strong enough to be that wall between everybody and Meredith to protect Meredith and get Meredith on the right mental path.
I think they both knew what was best for each other, obviously, when they didn't know themselves what was good for them, and so they made each other realize those things. I don't know, I loved watching them, the dynamic, dude. They really are just soulmates. Not even soulmates.
Soulmates. So yeah, guys, make sure you guys watch that one as well and just pay attention to their relationship. And as much as I love the show, they just need to fucking end it already. It's getting cheesy and stupid, and
Scrub isn't even there anymore. The last one down and he's gone.
Yeah.
The last one of the 5.
Besides Meredith. So yeah. They just Yep. All right.
Okay, next,
Jane and Petra. This is a fun one.
This is a fun one. I like this one. Okay, what made you get into Jane the Virgin, first of all?
I don't know. I watched it as it was on. So actually, no. I think what got me into Jane the Virgin... No, that was Ugly Betty. I was going to say Spanish Class, but that was Ugly Betty. It wasn't Jane the Virgin. But yeah, I don't know. I think it was just the fact that it was this fun. I think I watched the first episode and I was just drawn in because it's a telenovela. Like it is. It's about and it's funny. They have the stupid narrator and these things like this would never happen in real life. Like, let's be real. There's too much precautions going on and like drug lords, and it's just so much going on, and it's just entertaining to watch.
It is so entertaining. I loved it.
It's ridiculous. Like,
so let's talk about Jane and Petra.
Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, I loved it. Okay, Jane and Petra. So Jane was
artificially inseminated.
Accidentally artificially inseminated with sperm because she was a virgin. So that was like the whole thing. She was 25 years old, saving herself for her man.
Because her grandma told her that if she had sex before marriage, her flower, they had this flower metaphor. This is a rose, that it would go and be all ugly. And she's been told this since she was like 3 years old. So,
and it scared the heck out of her. So she was like, okay, so she saved herself. So then she got artificially
on a regular checkup, like a regular pap smear. She got accidentally artificially inseminated, and she was dating Michael Cordero at the time. But she...
Wait, before we keep going, are you Team Michael or Team Raphael?
You're gonna hate me. Okay, as a person, Team Michael. But who does she look cuter with? Raphael.
Okay, well, obviously Raphael is like a god, and Michael has no chance against that. But
also Michael was kind of shady towards the end. So
towards the end, well, after he switched up, I only like pre like kidnapped Michael. I don't like post kidnapping.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I was giving
you know what I mean?
I like pre his test Michael.
Oh.
Like when he got like shot or when he had the heart issue. Yeah, so pre that. Yeah. But so she gets accidentally artificially inseminated with Raphael Solano's sperm. His wife Petra was the one that was supposed to be getting inseminated, and get this, the doctor is Raphael's sister.
Yes, it's literally a telenovela. Like all things are connected, created. It's creepy.
What's his sister's name again? I'm blanking.
I want to say Lisa.
I think it's
Liza. No.
Whatever. His sister. Okay, and his sister has all these mental health issues that we can talk about that in another thing. She ends up dating their stepmom, who was a drug lord, and all this stuff, right? So
crazy.
Jane gets artificially inseminated, whatever. She starts feeling sick, whatever. She goes to the doctor. They're like, "You're pregnant." She's like, "I can't be pregnant. I'm a virgin." And then all the doctors laugh at her. So she goes back to Dr. Solano, because her sister, and she's like, "Oh, I might have accidentally artificially inseminated you with Raphael's sperm. And, they're hardcore Catholic, so they're not going to abort this baby. She's going to have this baby." Yeah. So, and she already works at the hotel that the Solanos own. So she already knows who Raphael is.
Everybody knows who Raphael is.
Yeah. So then this begins this journey of a hatred between Petra and Jane, because Jane is having Petra's baby ideally, because that baby is supposed to be Petra's.
Yes. So in the beginning, like, Petra really demises Jane, like, just so jealous. And then obviously, like, there's this weird chemistry. Oh, because we forgot to mention that Jane and Raphael, before she met Michael, they shared a kiss, an intimate kiss, while she was working somewhere, right? And he was there. So they shared this like intimate day, had a kiss, and it was a one night thing because Raphael was a one night type of person. You know what I mean? So
and Ray wasn't gonna put out because she.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, anyways, fast forward to when she's having his baby. All of a sudden, they never even. Whoa. Yeah, so they're kind of forced to be together, which kind of opens up this, like, what if, you know what I mean? You know how he was a handsome man, okay? He was a handsome man. So it kind of opened up this, like, what if between Jane and him. And then, so Petra noticed that because as a wife, you notice those things.
And Petra and Raphael already had a rocky marriage to begin with.
Well, she was a cheater. She was cheating on him. So she was in it for the money because, as you later find out, she had like a struggling what?
Yeah, she was an immigrant.
Wait. You're blurry. You're really blurry. Nope. Sit back a little bit. No, you're still so blurry, and I don't like that lighting. It's too dark.
Why am I so blurry?
I don't know, dude. You're like really blurry. Oh, better. So much better. Okay.
Is the lighting too crazy?
Okay, let's end. Okay. So you're talking about Petra coming from a messed background. Go.
So Petra was from the Czech Republic, so that's a whole nother backstory. But the reason they were getting artificially inseminated is because Raphael was a cancer survivor. So while he had cancer, before, like, whatever, they didn't know if he was going to survive it, they had froze his sperm before he got over the cancer, just so they could have a baby, should he not be able to have one in the future.
Yeah. So then it's this hatred between Petra and Jane in the beginning. But then, the baby's born and they have to like become this family, Moteo, and they have to become this family. And so that's when Jane is the type of person, like I said, these two are so opposite. Like I said, Petra was like a cheater, a schemer, was only really was not a good person. Jane was very like good person, genuine, wanted the best for everybody, right? So when she found out that
and her mom.
Yeah, so when she found out that they had to be this family, Jane tried with Petra in the beginning. From the get-go, she was just like, look, we might not like each other, we might not agree, but we have this family, we're going to have to get along. So Jane was the initiator.
And Petra and Raphael also landed having being twin girls together.
Later on, yeah. Well, around the same time.
Or around the same time, because Petra was so, like, determined that, she's having this family that I want with my husband. We're going to have our own family, with the idea to kick Jane and Mateo out of the picture. Yeah, but I do give Raphael props because even though he wasn't with Jane, he was so Mateo.
Oh, of course. Well, that was his firstborn, of course. Yeah.
But some aren't like that.
That's true.
Even with Petra's constant, like, you spend more time with Jane and Mateo, blah, 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 he was still very like, that's my kid and she's my baby mama, so we're gonna have this relationship.
Yes, which I admire, love that.
Definitely.
So they ended up getting pregnant. Petra ends up getting pregnant
with twins.
Later on with twins after Jane has Mateo. Mateo is like 1 year old, I think. Like he's a year older or two. But that's another thing, like Jane, like I said, was really trying in the beginning to be, and Petra was resistant at first, didn't like Jane, and Jane bugged her, honestly. Like Jane, she didn't want nothing to do with Mateo until I feel like things changed when she got pregnant and she realized, Jane helped her through her pregnancy, and Jane was the one that was there when she was giving birth, not even Raphael. And then of course like the love triangle too, because there was some time before Petra even got pregnant that Petra was trying to still get Raphael back, and Raphael was kind of trying to get Jane and all these things. So there was reason for them not to like each other at first, or for there to be that tension.
Love triangle, family driven type of stuff. Yes. But fast forward, all the babies are born, they're all in school, and then Jane made it a point, and Petra was on board, to do these family breakfast brunch things every Sunday or whatever day of the week it was. So it was, and at this point, Raphael wasn't with either Jane nor Petra when they first started. He was just a single dad. And it was Petra, Jane, Raphael, the two girls, Elsa and Anna. They named them Elsa and Anna. Can you guess when that season aired, guys? During Frozen?
Frozen era?
Yeah, so they named him Elsa and Anna, and that's a constant joke that runs. Like, oh, did you name him after Frozen? She said, no! But, yeah, whatever. And then, and Mateo. And Mateo has family, or behavior issues, which is very, disappointing to Jane, because Jane was such a type A person. But
love school.
Yeah, so Mateo having these issues really, hurt Jane. But Petra, at first Petra was like, oh, get your kid under control, blah, blah, blah. And then she realized, that it could be whatever reason he has these issues. And Jane and Petra worked together to kind of raise Mateo to be a better kid and listen and all of this stuff. And I think that goes back to what we were talking a couple episodes ago about having mom friends. Petra and Jane, even though they have the same baby daddy, so it's a little different scenario. But these two women would have never been friends if they didn't become moms.
I feel the same way. I think them being moms really opened up this, because it allowed Petra to finally be vulnerable. Jane was always like that. Jane was always like feelings, family, love. Petra didn't come from a good family. She didn't know what it was like to be loved. Like, she had a weird background and stuff. So, I think it really allowed Petra to be vulnerable. So that way it opened up this idea to letting Jane finally in. Yeah. You became Blair again.
Better? Okay.
Yeah, that's way better. Okay. Yeah, so she finally allowed Jane to it allowed her to come in and be in Petra's life and have that friendship and that relationship, and they became really close. And at the end, they obviously were already family, but they really became like sisters, and I love that too. I love how the whole thing is like hatred, and then all of a sudden it's like this undeniable bond, like nothing can break. And I'm like, okay, it just goes to show how complex relationships out there in the world can be,
And it even gets to the point that where Jane is contemplating getting with Raphael, because there's obviously that love there, a deeper love than Raphael had with Petra. And Jane even goes to Petra for advice. So the fact that they're able to have such a good bond and realize that, Petra and Raphael are done. That's never going to be a thing again. But for Petra to be comfortable enough to help Petra be comfortable enough to help Jane rekindle her love with Raphael, even though that's her ex-husband, just shows the maturity of their relationship.
Petra became a lesbian and was so
I forgot about that.
She ended up dating a girl named Jane. They call her JR though. And JR doesn't like Jane. Remember, JR's like, oh, I don't like her, she bugs, and that kind of causes Jane's like, what? Not used to not having people like her.
Jane's never said anything to JR except be herself. So that's a whole nother plot twist to that show. There's so many plot twists to that show.
It's so good.
One key thing is the relationship between Petra and Jane, and ends on a good note. So I think again that was a good one to discuss, because it started as hating it, and I feel like a lot of friendships start like that in real life. How many times have you been told oh, I thought you were a bitch before we became friends, or
dude, for real, for real.
So I think that's really an important friendship. And even though that show's all over the place and freaking crazy and not realistic, I think that's one realistic aspect of it.
That friendship. And I think, listen, if you guys want a show that'll really just catch your guys' attention that is the show to go to. If you're not patient enough to wait a couple episodes in till it gets good, that is the show for you.
The first episode, I got accidentally artificially inseminated. So
it's good.
It's crazy, and it's just aesthetically pleasing to the eye, all the colors and
all the edits.
It's a great show. And there's so many sub-stories. Each character has their own sub-story, so it's fun. There's nothing boring in any episode. Any episode can't be boring because there's so many sub-stories going on.
Good. All right, let's get to our final, in-betweener that we have.
And I think this is our final friendship in general, right?
Yeah, final friendship in general. And then we'll just do our honorable mentions and we'll cut it off. I honestly think this is the longest podcast we're gonna have. I'm sorry for you guys out there who are listening.
It's at 1:30 right now before edits, so it's probably gonna be like an hour 30 after we finish this last segment. So
if you stuck with us this long, thank you. You won't regret. Our honorable mentions at the end are gonna be great for you guys. Okay. Let's get into it. So
Blair Waldorf and Serena Woodsen.
Yes.
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl. Okay, their friendship. Okay, first of all, like I said, I binge watched it. As toxic as it was, I loved it. I loved every minute. I loved when they got into fights.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because. Okay, first of all, who did you think was better, Serena or Blair? We all have our favorite. Who was your favorite?
I was a Serena fan just because I feel like she was a little less materialistic and she was more damaged. She wasn't as perfect. She had a whole drug addiction. She got sent off to rehab. She was a little bit more of a real person to me. Like, what I would want to expect to happen to these upper class East Siders. Like, I don't want to think of them as having this perfect life, even though I know Blair didn't have a perfect life, but she was more up on the perfect life scale than Serena. I mean, Serena had a whole drug addiction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, but don't hate on my girl Blair because I love Blair more than Serena.
Blair did have a very toxic mother, though.
She had a toxic mother. She went through an eating disorder. She's a very insecure character, and it's like based on this whole idea that Serena was this beautiful being, which honestly I thought Blair was beautiful. I loved her. I don't know.
I love Blake Lively, so.
Okay, yeah. See, I'm not that big of a fan of Blake Lively. I think
she's naturally beautiful. That girl never has makeup on.
Okay, yeah, wait. Don't get it twisted. She is beautiful. She has a body of a model. She is, blonde, tall, beautiful. But I don't know, something about Blair.
Yeah, Blair, Leanne, what's her? I can never say her name. Meester, Leanne
Meester.
Something like that. Leighton, I think. I don't know. It's some weird. It's pretty, but I don't pronounce it right. So something Meester, Leighton, Meester.
I loved her because I don't know. She was just more like. I love the scheming. I love that she was like on top of her ish. Like they always came to her for help, and no matter what, like she was. I think she was a little bit jealous of Serena, but
sure.
Yeah, right. But I think she always genuinely wanted the best for Serena. She also wanted the best for herself, and she didn't know how to handle that. Yeah. And so, I don't know. I guess because she kind of was the underdog, and I saw that, like, everybody was leaning towards Serena, I kind of, like, just, like, oh, I love Blair. But even her character, like I said,
Blair was for her shit. Like, if someone was like, did you say this? She's like, yeah, and?
Yes, I loved that about her. Like,
I loved that about her.
Yes, I loved it. So she was my favorite character. And then her romance with Chuck, oh my gosh.
Toxic as hell, but also you just wanted them to work out because it was such
a
deep love. It was such a deep love, and you could tell they just didn't know how to, like, express that without hurting each other. But it was there. It was real, and they both knew it. They just didn't know how to navigate it.
Loved that relationship storyline. Loved it. So that's why she was my favorite.
Good, so they were perfect.
They were both damaged, and they just got each other.
Relationships, yeah.
Yes. Oh, I loved it so much. So I don't know, but Blair was my favorite. As far as their relationship, I don't know. What do you think? I think even though it was toxic, I loved it. I loved all of their fights.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like they both weren't the best friends for each other because I know we have written down that like Blair was like the bad friend, but at the same time I feel like Serena could have done a lot more to be a better friend to Blair, especially during her whole eating disorder kind of thing. But at the same time, Blair wasn't a good friend to Serena when she was going through obviously we don't see Serena in rehab. The whole story is Serena coming back from rehab, returning to school, and how Blair's dealing with that. And you get little snippets from the past, and Blair kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like jumped on the opportunity of Serena being gone, because now Serena gone, she was the it girl, because Serena's gone. Yeah.
So she was always hiding in her shadow. However, though, I will say this, you find out like when they talk about it and they really like get down to why they're always so mean to each other, because throughout the whole series it's like back and forth, like one episode they're best friends, the other episode they hate each other, whatnot. And so towards the end of the series they get into like why they really felt like that, and it all came down to when Serena went to boarding school, and you find out Blair was like dealing with her dad leaving her mom for a gay man, and like she didn't know how to deal with that. Oh, maybe that was another reason. But anyways, I just, like she needed a best friend, and Serena just left without any explanation, and so I think that was something that you're right, like Serena could have just been more vulnerable to Blair and let Blair really see her, because I think, Serena was used to being seen as this beautiful girl who had everything, and she didn't want anybody to see, just like her mom, kind of like her mom didn't want anybody to see their family getting messed up. So Serena had to fall under this, like, I can't let anybody know I'm struggling. And she didn't even let her best friend Blair in, which is like, you need to let somebody, if not your best friend. And I think Blair had this idea that she was Serena's person that Serena was going to tell everything to, because Blair knew that about Serena. And when that happened, it just was like no communication, lost trust, and there went the friendship. And then from there, it was like a roller coaster.
And I think also what makes Blair kind of a little bit better of a better friend than Serena to Blair is Blair was straight up with Serena, like told her as it was, like when Serena's mom was having that affair. I guess it was an affair with what's his face's dad, her high school lover or whatever.
Rufus.
Blair was like, it is what it is. It's out of your control. Get over it. Why are you moping around about it? You can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And, she tried to explain, like, my dad left too. Like, it's the same thing. Get over it. Grow from it, Yeah. So, and Serena was more sugar-coated towards Blair, which a lot of times isn't what you need.
Work out. Yeah. And I think that's another thing that I feel like Serena didn't, like you said, give Blair what she needed. Like, she was just always trying to please Blair. And I think Blair kind of saw past that and was like, you're always like a yes man. Like, when are you going to be real with me? Like, that's why she always felt like Serena was trying to, do something to her on purpose, always trying to like ruin the photo shoot with her mom. She thought that was Serena's plan, And I think because Serena didn't allow her to see, like, no, I am really here for you. I just don't know how to talk to you about this. I don't know how to say this to you without hurting your feelings.
Right.
Because Serena was genuine too.
Yeah, there was, again, that whole communication thing that they lacked. And they're upper class, everything's handed to them kind of idea is what, the story's premised on. So I think that has a lot to do with it. But I think they were such a good they were such a toxic friendship that they appreciated each other after the fact.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the more toxic it was, the stronger it got at the same time. Like, the more intense it got, then the stronger it even got. You hear about that happening, but it was shown through the show. And I think,
like, though, they were so toxic, whatever, when they had big events like the debutante or I can't think of another one. When Blair married that prince for a little bit.
Yes, Prince Louis.
Yeah, Prince Louis. They were there to support each other through it. And then when that was like, Blair was done with that marriage and it's like, I can't do this anymore, Serena helped her get going and get her back with Chuck, because that's where she really wanted to be. So
yeah, I think I think a reason why, too, a lot of it has to do with the reason why they kept going back to each other, no matter how toxic it got, was because, again, nobody understood them like each other. They were another one that grew up together, raised each other because they were all rich. They didn't have parents, let's be real. They didn't have parents.
Gave them the Amex and was like, here you go.
You go drink at a bar when you're 16. Go do what you gotta do. I don't care.
They didn't even get carded. They were rich.
They never even got. Did you notice that in high school they never got carded?
It's because they were elite families. And
yeah, that's true.
If anything happened, they weren't gonna.
They were
families aren't gonna let them get in trouble. Yeah.
before the Kardashians, right? So like everybody was supposed to know them like they were famous. So it's true. I bet you the Kardashians didn't get carded when they were freaking 18.
They were the it families of the Upper East Side, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Waldorf. Did they own a hotel? That was like how they made money.
The Empire Hotel, that was Chuck's. Yeah. So I don't know. I think just something that kept them running back to each other was the fact that they grew up together. They only understood one another. And like we were talking about earlier, their insecurities, like they were the ones, even though they were both insecure and they at times felt like they were each other's biggest enemy, they were always their number one cheerleader. Like even remember when they went to the house in college, the dean's like super high-end dinner that only a couple students get. Remember, and they got into a big fight because it was either Serena or Blair, and they really just like, because Blair was so pissed that Serena took this opportunity from her, and Serena was getting black at Blair for something she had done earlier, and they get into this like brawl outside of the dean's house, and then at the end, they were kind of just like, no, like I did this because like I felt like, you weren't pushing yourself hard enough. I don't know, like they just they turned it around to be like, no, like we love each other. Yeah. Like, no, and they still found a way at the end of this big fight to be like, no, like I do support you. I'm your number one supporter, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're an important friendship to look at if you don't have the strongest friendship right now, because
yes,
I agree. They loved each other and they wanted to be there for each other. They just didn't know how to navigate that, which I think was a lot of Blair's issues with all her relationships, from the relationship with her mom to the relationship with Chuck to her relationship with Serena. And Serena was the only one that kind of knew how to like get her back on track, even though Serena didn't know how to be the proper friend to Blair either, but Blair brought Serena back on track. So they kind of needed each other to navigate life in their
world.
Yeah, their world. There you go. But yeah, so that's Blair and Serena. Yeah. So honorable mentions.
Wait, before we do honorable mentions, you said your favorite dynamic duo was who?
Out of everyone we talked about today?
Only out of everyone we talked about today, yes.
Meredith and Christina, for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I still say Peyton and Brooke.
Okay.
That's like that's in my heart. Okay, so honorable mentions, right?
Yes. Go ahead.
And you could shout some out too if I forget any, right?
Okay, you go your list.
Okay, I don't know if you've seen this show, Grace and Frankie.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it fully, but I've seen a couple episodes. Their husbands leave them for.
Please.
That's the ones their husbands leave them for each other, right?
Yes, they're in their 70s, mid 70s, and their husbands leave them two ladies
for each other because they're business partners, and they find out they're gay for each other.
Yes, and have been for 20 years. Yeah. And so they just so these ladies in the beginning, they hate each other.
Yeah.
And then they're forced to live together, and then they just become this, right?
Like, that they all own together.
The beach house that they all own together. They move in, the wives, and they're forced to be with each other, but they grow this like undeniable love for each other. They're each other's everything type of thing. So love that show. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
I'll finish watching it.
Please do, so we can have them on our next dynamic duo. Okay, and then we also had, we were going to talk about the Mean Girls crew, but we were going to talk about them in like the bad side. We already kind of mentioned them in our other episode, but yeah, we could talk about their bad side. And then I was thinking we were talking about Jessie and Cece.
Jessie and Cece from New Girl.
I am still watching that, so you had already watched that, so you know more about that one than I do. I have to still finish watching that. I wanted to mention all of the Sex and the City gang.
I've never seen it. I can't get into it.
The fact that Ray can't get into it really makes me sad, because I love Sex and the City so much. I'm rewatching it on HBO. That's why I'm like so obsessed in this very moment. I'm like binge watching all of it. Okay, another honorable mention was we were going to talk about Lizzie McGuire.
Mm-hmm.
Lizzie and Miranda. Yes, and Gordo. And then we were going to talk about even That's So Raven with Raven and Raven. Chelsea. Just like shows like that where we kind of grew up watching. Miley and Lily. Where's some other honorable mentions?
I feel like Fiona and V from Shameless.
Oh, yes. Oh, Fiona and V. Yes. That's true. I watched it. I feel like if we wanted to, too, we could have went into movies.
Yeah.
So we have, like, Girls Trip.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
I love that movie so much. We have, like, Princess Diaries.
Oh, that's a good one.
We could have gone into Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Have you ever seen the movie Now and Then?
Yep.
Yep. You know what I mean? We can really went into
a lot. Like, if you guys really want us to do another one of these, or if you guys want to shout out some, let us know.
We didn't even talk about bromances.
Okay. There's so many bromance. New Girl, that's a big ass bromance right there.
Yes. Joey and Chandler from Friends. Corey and Sean from Boy Meets World.
There's a lot. Chuck and Nate. Yeah, I was like, isn't he Nathan too? Yeah, Chuck and Nate.
We could even do One Tree Hill again. We can do Lucas and Skills.
Oh yeah.
There's so many. There's so many.
So we'll definitely do probably a couple segments to this whole thing, whether it's good friends, bad friends. We'll definitely do it again.
Yeah.
But this podcast is already gonna be super long, and we don't want you guys listening for hours and hours and hours. So we will go ahead and end it here, but you guys know where to find us. Our link tree is linked in our Instagram and down below, so make sure you guys listen on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And yeah, follow our Instagram because we do put more highlights and shout outs and everything there.
Yes.
And our individual Instagrams will be linked down below as well. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you for staying with us this long. My gosh.
Yes, more episodes coming as always. And we will talk to you guys next week. Bye, guys. Bye.